What is going on, all you GBA type people? This is Tom. I'm here bringing you guys my Week 1 team builder for our match against Nate and his New York Noibats. Going into this season, I'm very excited. If you guys watched my team analysis and got an idea about how I'm looking at the team, how I want to use it, things like that, in addition to kind of understanding why I drafted what I did, I don't know, I think you guys will understand a lot about why I'm bringing the mons that I am and how I'm excited to use them. So, without further ado, we're going to go into Nate's team. He has the opportunity to bring a Mewtwo, Naganadel, Skarmory, Sylveon, Mega Gyarados, Terrakion, Arcanine, Seismitoad, Decidueye, Tornadus Eye, and Galvantula, with his Z accessible mons being both Terrakion and Tornadus. Now, looking at his team, there are 4 things immediately that stand out to me. One of those is a Mewtwo. I really don't have the best checks to Mewtwo, and you'll see that in a second as I discuss the team. Naganadel is kind of an issue. Actually, I do have an ICBA match that I probably will never upload. It's against Johnny, where he just kind of rips my asshole apart with a Naganadel from this past season ICBA. Basically, I know what Naganadel can do in terms of getting up a nasty plot and just having the accessibility to the Beast Boost with its speed. So that's an issue that I have to kind of be aware of, to not let that thing get out of hand, because I do have checks on my team, but a +2 speed or a +1 speed, Naganadel is just not going to be a good time for whatever I need to come in and then be able to revenge it or whatever. So I think something like Skarmory, Arcanine, Decidueye, Seismitoad, like 1 or 2 of those 4 need to come, because Skarmory is a decent enough check to Mega Lucario. It's also a decent enough check to things like, I don't know, Gliscor and even like Scissor, things like that. So while he looks at my team and thinks like Mega Lucario is an issue, he does it to bring something to sort of check it. So it might be Arcanine, it might be Skarmory, maybe Decidueye, so I have to have coverage moves for each of those. Seismitoad I think will come because it's a check for Coco. Otherwise, without Seismitoad, it can just pretty much Volt Switch freely across the entirety of his team. Seismitoad is his only ground type. Besides that, in my mocks, I saw that Mega Gyarados was kind of an issue, especially because we don't have to Z immediately, or I'm sorry, Mega Evolve immediately. So if he ends up staying in the regular Gyarados form and ends up D-dancing against my team, that could be kind of problematic, because not much wants to take Stab Crunch, Stab Waterfall, and then possibly Ice Fang or Earthquake coverage. Sylveon, if it's like an offensive set, is a huge problem. That's probably issue number 1 if I see it at team preview. Z Terrakion, based on my speed tiers, he actually can go Adamant, Rockium, Swords Dance set, and that probably destroys the vast majority of my team, or at least claims one if he can set it up in the right manner. Besides that, I mean, Galvantula is kind of a wild card. I saw it in one of my mocks. It died pretty quickly. And then Tornadus Eye is there. It could be like a Defog set, a Taunt set, U-Turn, Tailwind, Z Hurricane, something like that. But it gets kind of checked in some regards. So we're going to go to my team. This week, we're going to be bringing Mega Lucario, Tapu Koko, Gliscor, Latios, Cofagrigus, and Mesprit. So, first things first. Okay, so we have Mega Lucario. Now, this Mega Lucario is, of course, as you see, Adamant at the bottom of the screen there. Now, that's because based on his speed tiers, like Mewtwo, Naganadel, they both outspeed the Lucario. But his next closest mon is actually, besides Terrakion, it's Tornadus, which, again, I can't outspeed that, but I think Thunder Punch plus, like, Bullet Punch can pretty much handle that. And then besides that, I outspeed Galvantula. And even then, like, nothing on his team really wants to take an Adamant close combat. It's just not in his, like, best interest to do that. And also, Adamant Bullet Punch gives me a better opportunity to be able to KO the Sylveon with Bullet Punch, or at least get some really good solid damage on it. Additionally, I can 2 a KO a Skarmory if I go for Power Punch into close combat on a switch in, or Arcanine, I can do the same thing. Power Punch in close combat just destroys it. Same thing with Gyarados. If it's a Intimidate Gyarados, even before or after rocks, Power Punch or Bullet Punch into Thunder Punch would pretty much knock it out. Now, quick story about this Lucario, I did have Crunch before I put the Thunder Punch on, because I was noticing in the mocks that the Gyarados was setting up pretty much for free against a lot like Lucario is setting up for free against things like the Cofagrigus. So Thunder Punch was put on there as like kind of a failsafe if that becomes an issue, and I do see that. But Crunch was there mostly for the Decidueye. We'll see how that works out in the actual match. Besides that, I think Adamant Lucario is just really fun to click buttons, especially this set, because we did have Sword Stance initially, but Power Punch is more of a better tech because it kind of bypasses an Intimidate, and Power Punch a +1 into like a Skarmy switch or an Arcanine switch just blasts it into, you know, like next week. So next up we have a very bulky Coco set. Now this set is more kind of toned to get rid of rocks, be a little bit more on the bulky side, and pivot around. Again, Seismitoad is only ground type, so if I have Grass Knot, I could do a KO. Or if he's fully defensive, I believe I can OHKO a Seismitoad, but I highly doubt that. He's going to have some Spadef to be able to take a hit from Coco. But Grass Knot's there, it can 2 a KO a Seismitoad, and I cannot be KO'd back with a Earth Power or an Earthquake. I'll be 2 a KO'd as well, but with leftovers, be able to get some recovery back. Besides that, I can take a Mewtwo Side Strike from full, in case I don't take any damage whatsoever from Seismitoad. I could also take, I believe, a neutral Earthquake from a Gyarados, or even a Mega Gyarados, and be able to then pivot out or knock it out entirely with a Volt Switch. Besides that, I think that's all. That's what the bulk is there for on this Coco. It's a very straightforward set. I believe it's set to outpace Naganadel. I can't really hit it, but I can pivot out or let like Coco die or something. I don't know. It's a very straightforward set. This is there just to kind of be annoying and pivot around a lot of Nate's team. Next up, we have my best check, and you're going to hear this word a few times. My best check for Terrakion. If he's Adamant, Rockium, Z with Swords Dance, this Gliscor and this set is the only way I'm going to be able to take a +2 Continental Crush, and even then, it's kind of a roll, so it's not great. But I can slow U-turn out and get out into Lucario, so I can Bullet Punch and knock it out, or I can Earthquake, which does a lot of good, solid work against most of his team. I mean, Skarmory is obviously immune. Mega Gyarados is regular Gyarados is also immune, but I can do turn out. I can get some good momentum. Roost is to stay healthy, just so I can ensure that I can take on a Terrakion if I see it in Team Preview. Besides that, I mean, it's not going to be great against like a lot of things, but it can ensure that I can get rocks up. It can kind of pivot around to get other things in, a lot like my Coco Lucario. And then next up, my Latios set. But Gliscor here is my best check for Terrakion. Next up, we have my Latios set. This is a Calm Mind Roost set with Electrium Z, T-Bolt, and Psyshock. A lot of his team doesn't really like this specific type of Latios. Well, yes, it is outsped by Naganadel, and Mewtwo can, of course, beat out a lot of things if it's able to get to +2. Now, depending on what I could set up on, whether it be Seismitoad, whether it be Skarmory, whether it be, well, Skarmory doesn't have to, it needs to not have Whirlwind, whether it's Arcanine, things like that, I can basically get up to like +1, +2 if I'm still healthy. I can actually take a Life Orb, not a Draco, but a Life Orb Dragon Pulse from a Naganadel, and then I could also take an Ice Beam from a Life Orb Mewtwo. So that would be kind of cool if I was able to do that. In which case I would be able to knock them out, the Naganadel with Psyshock or ZT Bolt to the Mewtwo. But T-Bolt also kind of blows away the Skarm, it blows away the Gyara, Psyshock at +1 and +2 blows away the Terrakion. You kind of see my point with this. It's a very solid set, and with having Roost and Calm Mind, it does do a very good job at taking care of a lot of Nate's team, and that's kind of what I like about it. Also, it's set to outspeed Terrakion as well, and it's 1 point short of Tornadus, which I gotta keep my eye out for. Now this Cofagrigus, this is my best check for a Side Strike Mewtwo. Alright, so Side Strike Mewtwo is a fucking issue because it hits everything. There's nothing really on my team that's not going to enjoy Side Strike, and I mean, with Cofagrigus high, like way high defense, plus the capability of actually being able to take a special hit on special side with the Assault Vest, means I could take Fire Blast, I could take Ice Beam, I could kind of bypass an issue in terms of it having... Oh, if it has like Calm Mind or Recover and shit. I could Shadow Ball, I could knock off its Life Orb to make it a lot less deadly for other things. I could also, I mean, Grass Knot's there for the Seismitoad. Initially I had Infestation, but a lot of things that would be infested could heal up, whether it be Arcanine with Morning Sun, with Sylveon with Wish, or with Skarmory with Roost. Like, or the other issue too is that if I do Infestation, after a few turns, something can get a Wish and basically just heal it back to full. So I kind of want to avoid that if I can. So that's why I put Grass Knot on there. Before that, I believe it was like Shockwave for the, what was it called, the Gyara in Electric Terrain. But that's so situational, and I really don't want to bother with that. Also, against a Mega Gyara, I believe Grass Knot was doing about the same. And against regular Gyara, Shadow Ball was doing an equal amount to the Shockwave. So again, I wasn't really interested, and it seemed very situational, and I wanted to have something that was more overall coverage instead of like a specific incident turn coverage. Lastly, we have my double check to both Mewtwo and to Naganadel. Now, if his Mewtwo doesn't have recover, which I saw in some of the mocks, but for the most part, it was like recover and 3 attacks with Life Orb or fucking Scarf for whatever reason. I could U-turn out. I could also cripple Mewtwo and go for Thunder Wave, and then I could Healing Wish, which would bring back the health of my Lucario, my Koko, or even my Latios. So that's kind of the idea with this Mesprit set. U-turns there just to, again, pivot around and be able to maintain momentum, but also then Headbutt is there because it knocks out, at max attack, Zen Headbutt knocks out Naganadel from full. Like, no problems, no issues, and Naganadel then becomes not an issue. Now, the unfortunate part is that if there's Gyarados on that team as well, Gyara then comes in and is allowed to set up basically for free. So I kind of want to avoid that if I can, but regardless of that, I mean, I could U-turn out against a lot of things, like Arcanine, things like Seismitoad, Skarm, Sylveon, which gets me into my other threats that I don't think he has many switches into, namely Lucario or Latios. So we'll see how that pretty much goes, but that's kind of the team. You know, it's not a great team, mostly because I think Nate's team is probably one of the most offensive teams. Not literally offensive, I mean like upstart, like offense, like punch you in the fucking mouth type of offenses. So things like Mewtwo, Naganadel are really like spooky on the special side. Megagara, Terrakion special are really spooky on the physical side. You add in something in there like a Sylveon or an offensive Torn, right? Or even then, like, you have some bulk with Skarm, Arc, Seismitoad, Decidueye. There can be issues taking on this team. Now, the things I have to look at the most: Scarf or well, mostly Scarf Sylveon, right? Then especially DD Mega Gyarados, because I have very few, if any, like checks at +1 across the vast majority team, because it'll outpace Mesprit by a point, and then if it has the right coverage, it can pretty much knock out most of my team, or I would get surprised by a coverage move, you know. I just gotta dispatch a lot of his walls and then take care of my mons to be able to deal with his accordingly. So we'll see how this goes. Tomorrow we're gonna be uploading at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm waiting actually to get my match recorded right now so I can record in a little while. So let's see how this goes. I hope you guys enjoyed the match. I'll see you guys tomorrow.